Well, our political correspondent, Rob Powell, joins me now. And Rob, there's been a lot of doubt over HS2 for some time. And James Cleverly's rather non-committal remarks there will do little to quell those concerns.
Yeah, the Foreign Secretary asked pretty directly by Trevor whether HS2 should go to Manchester, and it was hardly a straight answer, hardly a full-throated commitment. James Cleverly talked about sequencing. Essentially, that's technical language for when you build certain bits of a project. So you could say there was a change to the sequencing of HS2 earlier this year when part of it running to Manchester was delayed by 2 years, and when there was a delay to the opening of Euston, to the date at which high-speed trains would reach Euston in central London as well. I think that was when some alarm bells first started ringing about maybe further cutbacks or trims being made to the overall project of HS2. It's worth remembering that Boris Johnson, when he was in office, trimmed back the northeastern leg running to Leeds as well. And I think the big risk for the government, if it does turn out that further changes are going to be made around when the rail line gets into Euston, and if the rail line gets into Euston, and if the rail line goes to Manchester, is they may end up with a hugely expensive rail link that doesn't even reach central London, but that doesn't actually reach the north of England either. And there will be big political ramifications around how that goes down with people like the West Midlands Mayor, the Conservative Andy Street. I think Labour's position on this is interesting, though, as well. Pat McFadden, who's a senior member of the Shadow Cabinet, someone quite close to Sir Keir Starmer, the Labour leader, was asked about this specifically today, and he said Labour needed to look at the costs too. How will that go down with the Labour mayor in Manchester, Andy Burnham? Now, I think if there are changes to be made, as ever, the motivating factor will be money, and there has been some speculation that money freed up by scaling back parts of HS2 could be put into, say, the east-west rail link, the so-called Northern Powerhouse link in the north of England, or maybe it could be freed up for pre-election giveaways around tax and things like that. It's hard to see how that will outweigh the political hit the government will take, though, if they do decide to trim back this rail project further. Some interested parties are saying they're expecting an announcement in the coming days. No one in Number 10 or government is confirming that at the moment. The timing could be awkward, though, if you do get an announcement this week, because the Conservatives in 2 weeks' time are due to have their annual conference in Manchester. Of course, that could be awkward if there has been an announcement around HS2 not reaching Manchester at all. Of course, it may be difficult for Tory MPs travelling to that conference to get there because, of course, there's a train drivers' strike going on at the time anyway.